Good afternoon, students. Today we are going to learn a poem, A Thing of Beauty by John Keats. A Thing of Beauty is a poem written by the famous romantic poet John Keats. The poem tells about how nature and its wonder mesmerize us and take away all the sorrow that surrounds us from time to time. Also, if you notice, Endymion is a poem by John Keats, first published in 1818, and it begins with the line, A thing of beauty is a joy forever. So the given poem is just an extract from the great poem Endymion. Now let's see about the poet. John Keats was born in London in the year 1795 and died in Rome in 1821 at the age of 25 due to illness. He is a romantic poet and his poetry is characterized by sensual imagery in his most popular work, which is a series of odes. What do you mean by odes? It's a lyrical poem which is meant for a particular subject. It is written in a way that you are addressing that subject. For example, Ode to a Nightingale. You are addressing the nightingale and you are writing something about the nightingale. Today, his poems are one of the most sought after creations in English literature. The above given poetry is an excerpt from his poem Endymion, a Poetic Romance of 1818, and it is considered to be an epic poem. Now let's see the background of the poem A Thing of Beauty. The poem is based on a Greek legend in which Endymion, a beautiful young shepherd and poet who lived on Mount Latmos, had a vision of Cynthia, the moon goddess. The enchanted youth resolved to seek her out and so wandered away through the forest and down under the sea. And his quest for his love Diana, and how in his quest the moon goddess Cynthia turns to an earthly maiden who later turns out to be Diana herself. Now let's move on to the explanation of the poem. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. So there is only one new word for you in these lines, and it is bower. So what do you mean by bower, children? A shady place under the tree. Okay, it's called a bower. So the poet says that beauty stays forever. It never fades away. Rather, it increases with the passing time. The perception of the poet regarding beauty is that it never goes off with the passing time. Rather, it beautifies more and more. For the poet, beauty is like a beautiful shady tree under whose shade all the creatures can sleep peacefully and enjoy good health. So children, let's look at the literary devices in these lines. We have the rhyme scheme AABBC. Forever, never, AA. Keep, sleep, BB, and breathing, C. Now alliteration. What do you mean by alliteration? Yes, the use of consonant sound at the starting of two words which are close in series. And we have the alliteration in the words sleep, sweet, and the alliterative sound is S. Please mark all these things in your textbook so that you may refer it very easily when you prepare for the exams. Metaphor. Bower quiet. Here, the calmness of the bower is compared to the calming effect of a beautiful thing. So children, for your exam also you may ask an extract and you may ask to find out a literary device which is used in the lines given in the extract. So go through all these things. Okay. Now we are moving on to the next line. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over darkened ways, made for our searching, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. So, children, it's a very important poem of the Romantic age, and it's a little bit difficult to understand at first reading. So, please go through it again and again. So, the new words we have here is morrow. Morrow means the following day. It's a short form of tomorrow, okay? And vrating means surround, encircle, okay? Despondence means depressed, and gloomy means sad. Now, let's move on to the explanation. The poet says that every day it is the beauty which fills us with the spirit to live. It is the beauty which builds the desire in us to live, though there are sad moments and cruel people around us. So, here the poet wants to say that without beauty, the earth will be full of cruel people, sad and gloomy moments. It is the beauty which is created by God which helps us to remove the sadness from our hearts. So, children, the literary devices used in these lines are anaphora. Maybe it's a new thing for you, just keep in mind. Anaphora is the use of same word in two consecutive lines. For example, of noble natures, of all the unhealthy. Okay, here it is stressed and it is similar to a refrain. Now, alliteration. Use of consonant sound at the start of two words which are closed in series. We have the sound b in band, bind, and n in noble nature, and so in some shape. Metaphor. Wreathing a flowery band. The beautiful things of our life bind us to the earth. So the beautiful things are compared to flowery band. Imagery, creating a sensory effect of beautiful things lined up in a string. So what will happen when we read this line? A flowery band to bind us. Okay, a flowery band is coming to the vision of us and it is an imagery. Now inversion. Inversion is not a common literary device that we see in the poems, but just keep a note of it. It's a normal order of words is revised. Okay, actually, are we wreathing a flowery band? Actually, in the correct sentence sequence, it should be we are wreathing a flowery band. So here it is inverted. That's why we call it an inversion. It is not that important literary device. Okay, children. So that's all about literary devices in those lines. Next, such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep, and such are daffodils, with the green world they live in, and clear rills, that for themselves a cooling convert make, gainst the hot season, the mid-forest break. Now we have the words boon. What do you mean by boon, children? Yes, blessing. And rills, it's a small stream. And break means a process to slow down. Please note these new words in your textbook so that it is easy for you to understand when you read the poem. So let's see the explanation. Here the poet describes the beautiful things which are present on earth. These are the sun, moon, trees, flowers, daffodils, and the rivers. Poet says that all these things are like a blessing bestowed on all the creatures by earth. He further describes that the trees provide us with their shade, flowers with their beauty, and rivers with their coolness during the hot summers. All of these are the beauties of nature which are like a boon for us. So in these lines, the poet is mentioning the blessings that we have from the nature. Now the literary devices, alliteration. We have the sound S, in sprouting, shady, and simple sheep, and the sound K in cooling, convert. And we have imagery in trees giving shade. Okay, and it is referred to sprouting, shady boon, and the growing process of daffodils. daffodils with the green world they live in, and the clean river streams, clear rills. See children, imagery is all about when you read these words, these lines, an image is formed in your mind. Okay, that is what imagery is all about. Okay. Antithesis. When opposite words are placed together, we call them antithesis. Here, old and young. It is a very rarely used literary device again. So children, keep note of these literary devices and mark it up in your textbooks. Now, next lines. Rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms we have imagined for the mighty dead. Of lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink, pouring unto us from the heaven's spring. Okay, so see children, this last part of this poem is very important. And we have the new words, grandeur. What do you mean by grandeur? A high rank or socially important. Mighty means enormous. Immortal, never dying, and brink means edge. Okay, children? The poet further carries on with the description of the more beautiful things present on earth, such as the beautiful musk roses, which have such a nice fragrance. Then he describes the tales of the mighty warriors who laid their lives for their countries or for humanity. He says that these beautiful things are the gifts from God for all of us. They are like a nectar given by God to us, and these are those beauties which are immortal and give us a reason to live on this earth despite having so many sorrows in our life. So he further says that whatever things we come across in our lives is meaningful and it brings us some beauty and happiness and it makes our lives also beautiful. And the literary devices are alliteration, use of consonant sound at the start of two words which are close in series. We have the sound her in have heard, and metaphor immortal drink. See, the beautiful objects of nature are forever, like a never-ending portion of a drink. See, the heavenly drinks are often revered as immortal. Okay. Now, the rhyme scheme used in every stanza of the poem is A, B, B, C, C. Okay, children. Maybe you may ask, it's a very simple question. Maybe there's a possibility you may ask the rhyme scheme and all. Now, the imagery, when you read the words, bushes full of musk roses, an image is formed in your mind of the sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms. And the books describing valor of fighters. Okay, we have the tales of these warriors who had a very mighty dead. Now, God providing us with best things. That means the heaven pouring, okay, the heavenly drink that is pouring from the heavens brink. Okay, so it's a concept that whatever good things happens in our life comes from the heaven, comes from the Almighty. So the poem ends in a very positive note, very hopeful note. Okay, children, now let's see the summary of the poem once more. Try to recollect what we learned at this time. Summary of the poem. A Thing of Beauty is a poem taken from the poem titled Endymion, a poetic romance, written by the famous poet John Keats. The poet says that a beautiful thing is a source of endless joy. It has eternal beauty which never fades away. A beautiful thing is like a shady shelter which gives us a sleep full of sweet dreams, good health and relaxation. Our attachments to the earthly things are like a flowery wreath, flowery band, okay? They are traps which bind us to the materialistic things and keep us away from the eternal happiness. The earth is full of hatred, greed, and negativity. According to the poet, the gloomness and sadness caused by this negativity fades away with the positive vibes of the beautiful things that surround us. So the poet says that we should focus only on the positive things in our lives. Okay. The poet lists out some of the beautiful things that surround us. As the saying goes, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Children, note this line. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. He says that the numerous creations of God, like the sun, which gives us energy, the moon's beauty, the trees, which give us shade, are the natural beauties around us. The various animals, like the sheep, that surround us, make our world lively. The pretty flowers, like daffodils, make the world green and lively. The flowing streams of water cool and refresh us in the hot summer season. The forests, which are full of the pretty musk rose flowers, are a beautiful sight to the eye. All these are the things of beauty. Also, the stories of the brave soldiers who laid their lives to protect their people are beautiful and inspiring. These beautiful things are like a fountain of immortality bestowed upon us by God. That means beauty has no end. That's what immortality is mentioned here. They inspire us to live on and maintain our faith in goodness. So, children, the ultimate message, the ultimate note of the poem is that a thing of beauty always inspire us to live on and maintain our faith in goodness. Okay, children, so with this positive note, I am winding up today's session. So, read the poem 5 times, go through the explanations, watch the video at least thrice, and we will meet up in the live session at 2:30 p.m. Thank you, children. Have a nice day.